again, this is Catherine, and in this video, I'm going to talk about channeling, what it is, and how to know if you're meant to develop your channeling ability, and also how to do it, how I learned to do it, and sort of the spin I have on it. Okay, so first of all, people talk about channeling meaning different things. What I'm talking about is getting in touch with a higher intelligence, a divine source of guidance and healing, and without using some other like intermediary, such as tarot cards or any other intuitive system like that. You're just using yourself. Okay, and I use channeling all the time. Every day I use it for just basic everyday things like, should I make this decision about my parenting, about my path forward, about my diet? Um, but also, I use it to tap into the collective and what's going on in the world, or in other realms. So it's super useful and far out and fascinating. I also give readings to people. Like sit down with someone for an hour or so and they bring their questions about their relationships or their career, their life path, and we see what comes up. And the information can come through in sort of like messages, downloads, images, sounds or music, physical sensations or emotions. Um, it's really depends on what source you're connecting with. Sometimes the person that you're channeling for, or just what's going on in the world or with you. And that can be a really interesting facet of it. So I talked about in my last video that you don't want to develop a spiritual gift unless it's actually something that you're meant to do in this lifetime. So according to Michael Sheridan, the dream symbols that will be showing you that you have a channeling gift that you're meant to develop, and they'll show up a lot over time in your dreams. There are things like the male and dolphins, the number 2, twins, weddings, and television sets. So those are your channeling symbols that you're looking for. Another option, if you're not a strong dreamer or you just want more verification, is to go to someone who's a channel that you trust and ask them if you have this gift and you're meant to develop it. Okay, and so now we'll go into how to channel. And the first thing you want to do is you want to have your heart chakra really open. The channeling state involves your heart being as open and warm and spacious as possible. So the way to do this is, or one way to do this, is to focus on someone who you love unconditionally. So this could be a partner or it could be a child. I tried once to do it with my cat and that didn't work. So I guess hopefully a person I think works better. I also think it's helpful to imagine your loved one in a funny situation because humor also is heart opening. So, like, when I first started doing this, I would imagine my partner, the way he would act when he walked accidentally into a spider web. Like, no matter how many times he did this, he would still flip out and like throw his hands in the air and scream, and it was hilarious to me every time. So that's what I pictured, and it totally worked. Just um, okay, and so you'll do that for a while and just kind of feel the state, and that should be really pleasant for you. So just stay in that place for a bit, and then the next piece is you're going to want to ground. So you'll imagine a connection to the earth. You can picture a golden light that's connecting your body to the center of the earth. And you have that intention that you're connecting to the center of the earth. and you'll actually feel something, especially I think the more that you practice this. So there will be a difference between how you felt before you connected and afterward. So practicing with that, connecting to the center of the earth and feeling that connection and maintaining it throughout your channeling session. Okay, and then after that, you connect to the center of the heavens or the universe or the cosmos, however you want to frame that. Um, and I feel that a little bit differently, whereas the earth feels very, it's like very connected to my body, like the earth is part of my body, and I feel really solid when I connect to the earth. Connecting up to the heavens feels a lot more ethereal, like there's several lights coming into my crown and lifting me up. I often feel like my crown chakra will rise up when I do this. So you'll practice feeling that sensation and knowing when you've got it. And then I imagine those two currents meeting at my heart center, and I just feel that it's also very pleasant and a good state to just remain in and practice feeling. Okay, so you're visualizing, but you're also having a felt sense of this connection being strong. Next, you want to connect to your source of guidance. So I think when you're just starting out, your higher self is a great place to start. So, whether you're channeling for yourself or someone else, your higher self has access to information that you don't typically, and they can connect to the higher self of another person and communicate and relay information back to you. Your higher self is a source that you can trust, has the highest good of you and all beings in mind. So it's just a great way to begin. Of course, later there's all kinds of things that you might want to try doing. You might want to connect to archangels, angels, or ascended masters. Maybe you'd like to connect to various star races or fairy kingdom, spirit guides. Even perhaps you might try channeling someone who has passed on. I also call on my ancestors, and I qualify that with my vibrantly well ancestors or my ancestors who are wise, loving, and compassionate. So that can come later, but just starting with your higher self. And you might, when you set that intention, I'd like to connect to my higher self, you might actually feel something shift. Like you might feel a chill in your back or some other place in your body. You might feel some other physical sensation or just a lightness, like something more energetic. So just getting used to how that feels for you. That's what's important, not what other people have experienced. So it's all about getting into your state and your feeling and your unique way of doing this. Okay? And then the next step for me in my process is I want to raise my energy level up to my brow or my crown or perhaps above that, but really at least to the brow is best. And what I mean when I say that is I'll feel sort of like a spiraling sensation as I intend to let the energy rise up through my body and through my chakra system, and I'll just kind of keep it going. Sometimes it doesn't happen as easily as others, and you just want to be aware of that. You're not forcing it, you're not just visualizing it. Again, you're also feeling it. So, allowing the energy to rise up is the next step. And again, this is something that you practice and that gets easier, that you get better at over time. Once you're in that state and you're just starting off, I recommend learning your yes and your no. So you can ask your higher self, what does my yes feel like and what does my no feel like? Mine is very simple. I'll share it with you. my yes is on my left and my no is on my right. I might also do an either or question, like, is it this on my left or that on my right? And then I feel like scales tipping, um, energy rising up on one side or pulling away on another. And I might play with that a little bit, like, are we sure it's yes? Um, if I test the other side, like if I push it artificially to the other side and it's pulled back, then I feel pretty strong. Sometimes you don't even need to do that. It's just like, oh yeah, that's the one, and you're really clear on that. So your yes and no is really important, because if you move on to trying to get other significance from messages, from songs, from emotions or sensations, all these different ways that the download, that the channeled message can come through, and you can test it. You can say, okay, did I get that right? And you'll either get a yes or a no, or maybe something in between. And something in between just tells you you got part of it right, but you need to work on this a little bit more. So yeah, look for the in between yes and no too, because that gives you information. You also want to make sure that you close the channel when you're done. So what I mean by that is you can imagine like the spiraling energy, which was way up here. You want to imagine it coming back down, and you'll feel sort of a closing all around you. You could even visualize like a flower all around you that closes. This is because you don't want to be super psychically open when you go out in the world afterwards. So coming back, closing, grounding, thanking your sources for helping, then maybe placing your hands on the earth or your forehead, or going outside with bare feet or something like this, something to bring you back to earth. Okay, well, if you do decide to try this, I'd love to hear about your experiences. I want to do more how-to videos in the future, so please subscribe, comment, and I'll look forward to speaking to you again next week. Bye.